Setting and Symbolism in Hills Like White Elephants by Alison Morris and Tim Kelly. The short story Hills Like White Elephants by Ernest Hemingway is about a young couple and the issue of abortion. Though the word abortion is nowhere in the story, it is understood through Hemingway's powerful use of two literary elements, setting and symbolism. From the first paragraph, the setting immediately introduces the tense atmosphere that will surround the rest of the story. The story takes place in Spain in the late 1920s. The setting is described as follows.
The hills across the valley of the Ebro were long and white. On this side there was no shade and no trees, and the station was between two lines of rails in the sun. Close against the side of the station there was a warm shadow of the building and a curtain made of strings of bamboo beads hung across the open door into the bar to keep out flies. The American and the girl with him sat at a table in the shade outside the building. It was very hot, and the express from Barcelona would come in 40 minutes. It stopped at this junction for 2 minutes and then went on to Madrid.
The couple are in the middle of making a drastic decision where there are only two choices, two directions, just like the two rail lines that pass by either side of the station. There is no shade, no obvious place to hide, no way to avoid the problem at hand. The wait for the train forces a pregnant pause, which puts pressure on the man and the girl to address the issue now. The heat simply adds to this pressure and to the sense of discomfort. The landscape that encompasses the station plays a fundamental role in the conflict of the story through its extensive symbolism. A white elephant can be defined as a valuable but burdensome possession of which its owner cannot dispose and whose cost of upkeep is out of proportion to its usefulness or worth. The term derives from the story that the kings of Siam, now Thailand, were accustomed to make a present of one of these animals to courtiers who had rendered themselves obnoxious in order to ruin the recipient by the cost of its maintenance. In modern usage, it is an object, scheme, business venture, and so forth, considered without use or value. Mountains and hills as extrusions from a flat landscape offer a graphic link to the shape of a pregnant woman's belly. When the girl sees the hills, she says that they look like white elephants. As she observes the white hills, she foresees the birth of her baby, something unique, a white elephant, and unlike the author, the girl is perhaps unaware of the ironical connotations of the phrase. The colour white symbolises the innocence and purity of her unborn child. She also admires the rest of the scenery.
The girl stood up and walked to the end of the station. Across, on the other side, were fields of grain and trees along the banks of the Ebro. Far away, beyond the river, were mountains. The shadow of a cloud moved across the field of grain, and she saw the river through the trees.
The fields of grain and trees represent female fertility and fruitfulness, an obvious parallel to her current pregnant state and the life in her womb. The river is a traditional symbol of male fertility, as it germinates the fields. Just as the girl appreciates the panorama and its connection to her unborn child, the shadow of a cloud, surely the dilemma over the abortion of the fetus, overcomes her happiness. After an exchange of words with the man, she again looks at the scenery, but this time in a different way, as the following sentence illustrates.
They sat down at the table, and the girl looked across at the hills on the dry side of the valley, and the man looked at her and at the table.
The man is in favour of the abortion, and everything he says is an attempt to persuade the girl to go ahead with it, including, and perhaps especially, the emotional manipulation in offering to accede to her wishes. As she considers the man's suggestion, she looks at the dry side of the valley, which is barren and sterile, symbolising her body after the abortion. Then they continue arguing. She is clearly sceptical of her lover's point of view.
Would you please, 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 please stop talking? He did not say anything, but looked at the bags against the wall of the station. There were labels on them from all the hotels where they had spent nights.
The bags with all the hotel labels on them are a marker of the man's current itinerant lifestyle and freedom. If the woman goes ahead with the pregnancy, he would have to settle down and raise a family, exchanging freedom for responsibility. He is clearly unwilling to do this, and hence is pressuring the girl into having an abortion. The story concludes with the couple expecting their train's arrival in 5 minutes. They are still waiting. There is no resolution and no decision or agreement reached about the abortion or future of the child. The interweaving of setting and symbolism form the subtext and offer a route into the unspoken dialogue between the man and woman. Hemingway has intentionally left the readers to conclude for themselves what will happen next, but given the seriousness of the issue at hand and the conflicting attitudes of man and woman, there seems little room for a positive resolution. There is no happy ending here. Okay, so if you think about this in relation to your story, what setting will best represent your theme? Can you use symbols to enrich and deepen your story? And go ahead and redraft your story, add in these elements.